You asked more about the accelerated evolution methods. These methods are something that, one, has made a huge difference in my life and has helped me be able to work with people in the way that I've always wanted to. For years, I've done meditation practices, I've done yogic practices, I've trained jiu-jitsu, I've done qigong practices very intensely and for a very dedicated amount of time. But the accelerated evolution methods are kind of very distilled, structured practices that have allowed me to work with people that have even zero disposition towards meditation or even have ever practiced meditation. And they're structured methods that allow people to go into these deep states without even really knowing it's meditation or even calling it meditation. It's sort of sneaky spirituality and this, kind of, it looks more like healing work, human potential work. So there's kind of three phases of it. The first phase is healing. And then the second phase is goal attainment. It's like, I'd say the first phase is healing and integration. Second phase is goal attainment. Third phase is spiritual evolution. And I think if we break down almost any methodology, that's essentially what it is. Like, I have goals that I want to achieve in my life, whether that be a great romantic relationship, a marriage, a great career. I want to grow my business. I want to be healthier. I want to lose weight, or I want to just be competing on a certain level, etc., etc. Right? We have all these simple goals. I want to be a better father. I want to be a better mother. What does that look like? Well, what's in the way of you and those goals? If you're saying you want that, that means there's a gap between you and that. So what's that gap? Oh, I just have so much anxiety. I just have so much frustration towards this person. I've been hurt in the past. I've been traumatized. I went for my dreams before, and I failed, and I'm afraid of that again, etc., etc. So what the methods do is we go in and we address those issues within. We address those fears, the anxiety, the frustration, the anger, the internal struggle. Now, once those are addressed, they're healed, they're dissolved, they're integrated, is the word we like to use, because it's not actually about fighting with them or pushing them away. It's about actually integrating them as a part of yourself and feeling them completely. Learning the lessons from those things, those seemingly negative internal enemies. Now we can use that energy to move forward towards our goals, towards the things we want to experience, towards the life we want to be living. That lifestyle, those achievements, whatever that is for us. Now, once we're on the path to our goals, now we embody more consciousness, more self-awareness. Spiritual evolution naturally starts to take place and unfold. And we recognize that success is not the key to happiness, but happiness is the key to success. And when that switch happens, when we get all the other shit out of the way and we're not focusing on that, now life begins. So that's what I do with my clients.
I like that. It goes back to a lot of, my more rudimentary description, which is mind-body connection and developing spirit being the culture between the two. And that spirit comes alive as you find happiness within mind and body. And that's that harmonic relationship that you ultimately develop with yourself. I find that this lifestyle of living conscious awareness and such and intentional practices, so much of it just comes down to, first off, your relationship with yourself. But I see a hard line in the sand where most people are harmonic or compulsive. And compulsion can be great for setting up those initial stages of commitments and engagement and goal setting and such, to develop the habits, the pattern forming habits. The key is habitual development, and you just touched on that. The integration process is developing those habits that become routine, that are the new loops in your programming. And we have to go back, and you talked about some of the traumatizing things that kind of lock memory into us, whether if it's in our tissues, all through our brain or our gut or our heart. I believe in these memories being locked and scars, and ultimately it's embedded, and that photo is caught in that loop. And until you can start to skip that loop and unprogram the bullshit, and that's that initial foundation that you talked about, unwiring all the stuff that you've been wired up with to find a clean slate to go forward. You know, I've worked in so many different realms of fitness with bodybuilding and powerlifting and Olympic lifting and strongman and CrossFit, and I've just really enjoyed. I'm 80, call it ADD, I call it a fuck ton of energy. And I love to learn. It's, for me, the day that I stop learning and the day that I'm no longer a student is the day I'm 10 feet in the ground or wherever, and my spirit is finally where it needs to be. But, you know, so much of this for me has been about that constant quest for more and more and more. And as I've come down to it, it's like I've stripped all of those things away, and I've just found this lack of need for so many of those tools, or so many of those outlets of like aggressive hammering myself, because I have a much better relationship inside. And I found more presence and harmony in this relationship where I intentionally want to eat foods that give back to me. I intentionally want to think only positive thoughts that attract more positivity to my life. I only want to consume organic foods and things that clean my gut so I can have more clarity and peace of mind. And as I've gotten, as I've progressed or matured, I'll say, not aged, but matured in my, in this skin bag that I walk around in, I've come to realize that the spirit is what really needs to be focused on, but you're never going to find that unless you get your mind and your body in check. So those are many of my recent experiences, and so I think that's why I've really gravitated towards you, because the work you're putting out there for mental health and stress management and all of these things, it is really important during this time. And I'll just say this, at the very beginning of quarantine, I said the real pandemic coming is the mental health and the brain. My friend hopped on here, certified health nut. He talks about the brain virus that's out there, and that's a lot of the bullshit programming and the stuff that's going on in our world. No matter what your belief is with all the corona, and there's a ton of media is just fear mongering, and it's insane right now. But I just got a message 2 days ago, the first one that I've got like this, and I hate to say it, but I've kind of been expecting them. Former coach that worked for me, one of my former kind of proteges, relapsed and was clean. I helped him kind of get clean and helped him get his life into fitness and turn his addiction from drugs and alcohol to this holistic fitness lifestyle. And what kept him moving every day was going to work and serving other people. And when it came down to lockdown, he got isolated. He was too afraid. He had those insecurities and fears to go out and continue to serve his purpose that gave him that return, that addiction, that feed that he needed, and relapsed and OD'd and passed away. And it's so hard to hear that stuff, but it's also, I hate to say this, it's an expectation of mine at this point that we're going to start to hear more and more about issues that are rising through all of this, from the economical collapses causing the mental health, domestic violence issues, drugs. We're going to see more and more of the same pop up through all of this. So what are some of the things that for somebody that's more isolated and really maybe they do have a true high risk health concern, whatever your belief is on corona, what are some of the things that you suggest for those people to keep themselves active, keep themselves healthy and busy, and what are some basics that they can do in their own home?
Well, my first thought is not necessarily right in your own home, but it's still something that's more isolated from other people. Is you can still get out in nature. You can still go for a drive, go find a hike. If you're really concerned about COVID or you're higher risk of COVID, and if you have the ability to go out for a hike, it's super important. getting out in nature. I think that's what I initially, when this started and we couldn't go to the gym, I was like, okay, well, it's time to get out in nature. It's time to be outside, right? So that's number one, if you're able to do that. If you're not able to go out to the hike, you don't have a car to drive out of the city or something, get out in your yard. If you don't have a yard, go for a walk around the neighborhood. There's still plenty of social distancing you can do going for a walk around the neighborhood. If you're really worried about it, wear a mask while you walk around your neighborhood, but just get outside. Step out on your porch, step outside your front door, be outside. Be around plants. Be around moving water. Get your face in the sun. If it's nighttime, step outside and listen. Just listen to the night. Notice what you hear. So that's my first thing, is step outside the house. Second thing, if you're in the house, there's just a plethora of online exercise stuff that you can find. Just go on YouTube. If you don't want to pay for something, just YouTube, like body weight circuit workout, right? If you need to get a workout, there's all that stuff is infinite now. So you can go online and find these things. If you want to learn more about how you can eat healthy while you're at home, YouTube nutritional advice, get some books, look them up, read, just put positive things in front of your face, right? Don't spend a bunch of time playing video games and watching TV, and just like, okay, what is positive that I can put in front of my face? Who can I call right now to talk to, have some, just using Zoom, or even most smartphones, you can just do a video call, do more video calls, do more Zoom calls. I did, I wish I would have done it more over the past few months, but we did do it once where I got together with some of the jiu-jitsu brothers from the gym, and we had like 10 of us on a Zoom call just hanging out. There was no agenda. We're just like, let's just hang out. Mm-hmm. Each guy brought like a different, kind of beer that they really like, and we sat and we had a beer on Zoom.
That's awesome.
So stuff like that, you can get creative, right? Be creative. I know that there's even more difficult situations out there, like say if there's people at home with an abusive partner, and you got to stay home. That's a really tough situation. I would just say, if you have an abusive partner at home, first of all, you need to call someone about that. You don't have to be there with that person. There's ways you can get out of that situation, even if it feels hopeless. So there's always ways we can be creative, and if we don't know what to do, there's plenty of times in life where it's like, I don't know the answer, I don't know what to do, so I try to think of someone in my life who might be able to help me take a step, and I call that person, and they help me be creative, or they have the wisdom, someone, an elder, mentor, or just someone in your life that you feel like could offer a good suggestion or offer a good strategy. I think being creative that way is really important.
Yeah.